What's going on, guys? So we are finally getting a little bit settled in Nha Trang, Vietnam. For those of you who have known us for a while, we've been living in Vietnam on and off for a lot of years. We've been to Nha Trang before. It's not a place that we spent a ton of time, but we really did like it when we went there. So we're back again, and this time we're based here for a few months, having a look at the place and really getting to know it. So I thought one really important video for any prospective expat is safety. So today we're going to talk a little bit about safety in Nha Trang. Is it a safe city? Is it a place where you can have a family? Is it a good place for tourists? Is it a good place for an expat or for someone who's working remotely? And we're going to show you a little bit of the beach and a little bit of the area near to where we're living, so you don't have to look at our ugly mugs the whole time. What's up with it, guys? So we are heading kind of towards these rocks. You're not going to be able to see it super well, but there's like some rocks all the way off on the right, and we're going to be heading out that way. So this is the beach nearest to where we're living. It's called Hong Chung Beach, and it's a lot more low-key than the beach downtown. I believe it's called the Tran Phu Beach, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the city center beach. There's a lot more people there, like at this time of day. This is kind of where the changeover happens. Normally during the day, it's mostly Russians that hang out at the beach, and at sunset, it's mostly Vietnamese, because the Russians want the sun and the Vietnamese don't want the sun. So it's like a flip. Like around 4 o'clock or so, it starts to become more Vietnamese because they don't want the sun. And then all throughout the day, you have the Russians who want the sun, right? So this is the changeover right now around 4 o'clock. It's your typical park space in Vietnam. You've got people doing exercises and, you know, just hanging out. They've got some pull-up bars. If you want to do some chin-ups over here, very nice place. It's been low tide for the last few days, guys. So like the water has been real low and there's been a lot of rocks, and normally you can go to the beach over here and it's not so rocky, but lately it's been very like rocky and like
Low tide.
Yeah, there's like an area they rope off kind of where you see everybody over there. I don't know if you guys can kind of see it over there, but there's a spot where there's a lot more people concentrated.
To the square.
Yeah, and that area doesn't have any rocks, so that's kind of nice. But over here, the beach is more chill and more quiet, but it's more rocky. But it's not usually a problem during like high tide, because the sand here is pretty soft for a while before it becomes all rocks. But yeah, this is Hong Chung Beach. What you see is what you get. I would say overall Nha Trang feels very safe. What about you?
Yeah, it feels really safe. I mean, usually we'll come here and we'll get a beach chair. It's like 50K, right?
50K a person, yeah.
50K each, so I don't know, maybe around $2, almost $2. And, you know, we just leave our stuff there and go swimming. It's totally fine.
Now, stuff does disappear on the beaches. Like, that's commonly reported, that things will get stolen occasionally. And, you know, less so up here, more so down by the Lotus, down in the city center. You know, there's a lot more problems with things disappearing and that kind of stuff. Whereas over here, it's more low-key, it's more families. Like I said, during the day, it seems to be a lot more Russians hanging out at the beach, and around now, it's more like Vietnamese families, the kids. It's actually quite a nice environment. And you guys can see, it's not like super crowded here on this side, right? So this is one of the reasons why we like it over here. There's way less people than in the city center. And there's still a very nice beach, you know? What's up, guys? So this is the beach. So we don't live downtown. We live like a bit to the north of the city. And this is the nearest beach to where we live. So it's a lot more low-key than the city center near the giant lotus. So there's a big lotus, and that's basically the city center of Nha Trang, right? And like everything kind of comes out from there. So that's the beach where you hear more about like phones missing or people getting their bags stolen. And I think a big part of it is it's just a very crowded beach, and there's a lot going on, you know. You can kind of like get around a lot of this pretty easily. Like most of the guys who sling seats over on the beach, they're not charging more than like 50,000 VND for a chair up here. Maybe it's a bit more down by the Lotus, but you can contract a chair, put your stuff under it. You can have one person hang out with your stuff while the other, you know, you take turns swimming. You could ask the guy who owns the chairs to keep an eye on your bag for you. You could possibly ask him to hold it for you. So to me, it's a relatively easy thing to solve. I think if you came to the beach and you didn't buy a chair and you just had your stuff, you know, maybe something disappearing could happen.
Yeah, also you can get one of those, they got like these waterproof bag things and then just bring it with you. I've seen some people do that.
You could just strap it to your wrist or something. You know, you see people do this in other places. As far as other concerns for safety, I don't really see too many. Like, for the most part, the Russians are all real cool. I haven't had any trouble with any of them. They're all real chill. The Vietnamese people in this part of the country are all really chill, really nice.
They seem very happy, you know?
They do. They seem happier here. You know, it seems like people are just more content with their lives here. And, you know, you can easily understand why. I mean, look at the living conditions versus a place like Saigon, you know?
Way less people. How many people are here?
I think there's only about 500,000 people here in Nha Trang, so
that's way less.
People seem real happy. Everybody's really friendly. It's very easy to make friendships so far. Very nice people. You know, not difficult to get along. And even like I said, the Russians, you know, sometimes Russians can get a rough reputation in parts of Southeast Asia, but everybody I've met here has been real cool, you know, like real chill. You know, they all stay to themselves. They don't disrespect or bother anybody. It's like, you know, I could imagine maybe during high season it's a bit worse, but right now it's chill. I'm really liking it. We're paying nothing for a beautiful 2-bedroom, and we got like panoramic views of the beach and the city. So I feel very fortunate. I can't believe that for basically we're paying 8 million VND for a 2-bedroom with an ocean view and a city view and a mountain view. And the lady is really good. It includes cleaning once a week. And again, this is an off-season price, but just to give you an idea. And there's some guys that hang out in the front of our building that they play mahjong all night and smoke cigarettes and shit. But nobody bothers nobody. Everybody's real polite. Nobody's real noisy. Have you seen anything that's seemed weird or made you uncomfortable?
No, not really. Just the elevator's a little annoying. Yeah, sometimes we have to wait forever.
So
I don't think it's like unsafe or something, you know.
So would you think that this would be okay for a family?
Yeah, for sure. There's heaps of kids here, especially in Hong Kong Beach. There's Vietnamese and Russian kids playing together outside. It's completely fine.
Would you think this is pretty safe for a female?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see any reason why Nha Trang would not be a nice, mellow place for a family, for a female. It's safe here. It's low key. And it's extremely beautiful, guys. Take a look at this. And again, we're not in the city center. We're gonna do more content for you from the city center, but this is where we're living. This is our neck of the woods. Guys, check out this little cafe right at the footsteps. This is pretty cool. So we're going uphill slightly. We're gonna go up into this area that's basically a rock formation that kind of goes out into the water. Very, very nice. And as it's not tourist season, hopefully it will be somewhat pleasant to make this little walk. But we figured we'd talk a little bit about like things that would be a concern for a traveler who's maybe never been to Vietnam, and you know, they don't really know how things work here. A general security precaution, if you don't want to lose like your phone or any kind of valuables, is to just, you know, be aware of your surroundings. Like if you're gonna use your phone, you know, in a busy, crowded area, try to back yourself up, you know, to a wall. Try to put yourself to a place where you can have your back turned away from the street. and you can have your phone kind of towards the wall. So yeah, I mean, in Saigon, as a rule, one thing I always try to do is face a wall when I use my phone. Or if we're working in a group, me and Mish, you know, I'll have her face the wall and I'll stand behind her. It's like little precautions like that, right? Or at an ATM machine, you know, she'll go in and do it and I'll stand behind her and watch, right? But, you know, Vietnam's generally not much of a violent crime country. It's more of like a petty theft kind of situation here. Like someone who, you know, might come along and like steal your cell phone is not likely to come and hit you with a weapon or attack you or threaten you. It's not really going to happen that way. And it's generally going to be in bigger cities where there's more population. But because Nha Trang gets tourism from all over, and obviously it's not the richest province in all of Vietnam, it relies very heavily on tourism. For that reason, you know, you still have to watch your back a little bit. But I would say comparatively to like a Saigon or to like, even maybe to like Vung Tau even, I would say this is, I don't know, probably a bit safer. Because again, you know, you're in Vung Tau, you're still very close to Saigon. So you have people who will come out from Saigon and it's a lot easier for them to get to Vung Tau than here. Here's like a little bit of a trek. If you want to come from Saigon to here and you're taking, you know, a bike or a bus, you know, you're looking at anywhere between 6 and 8 hours to get up here. So it's definitely not the same as like a Vung Tau where you can just jump on a bus and be there in like an hour, you know? So in conclusion, guys, is Nha Trang safe? I mean, compared to other Vietnamese cities, it's definitely safe. But I would be honest with you, with common sense, even Saigon or Hanoi would be safe. It's just probably what's more likely to hurt you here, and I think you guys should definitely take this to heart, is like dying in a traffic accident or some kind of food poisoning or some kind of problem you know, related to pollution or something like that. That's a lot worse than the actual threat of like danger or threat of violent crime would be. And I think that's true in most of Vietnam. I think if you're not involved in drugs or in some sort of illicit activity or prostitution or something like this, it's very easy to stay out of trouble in this country. You know, and it doesn't really take a lot of you know, it doesn't take much sense to not see what, you know, you should not get yourself mixed up in things like that in developing countries, right? I mean, that's just my 2 cents, okay? But like, you know, I think it's kind of obvious, and the things that you shouldn't do are kind of obvious. Don't get involved in anything illegal if you can help it. Drugs, alcohol. Be careful with, you know, anything to do with prostitution or any of that stuff. You know, taking yourself away from these things is going to make Vietnam like 100 times safer. And if you're in a city like Nha Trang, it's already very low key. There's already like kind of a chill environment. There is, of course, people who don't have a lot of money, and there are people who do have a lot of money. And, you know, people who don't have a lot of money might be tempted to steal something on a beach. So, you know, like we talked about a little earlier in the videos, contract one of the guys with the seating areas, pay him a couple bucks, have him watch your shit. For the most part, it's cool, you know. I would say, you know, there's a nightlife here, clubbing. I would just use the common sense clubbing stuff, like don't, you know, take drinks from people who you don't know.
We've used like the rideshare apps, and that was fine too.
Well, let's talk about that now.
Okay guys, so just want to talk a little bit about the rideshare apps. So here they use Grab. They don't have Bee here, and they don't have Gojek either. But they use Grab and this other app called Maxim. So we've used Grab so far, and we used it at night. It was totally fine. We came back from Jiu-Jitsu probably around 10 p.m. almost, like 9:45, 10. Totally fine. We made friends with one driver, so we just use him now. It's way cheaper. But yeah, I thought it was completely safe. We use the motorbikes too.
All right, guys, so we figure we will conclude the video. Overall, we've lived in Asia for a long time, so there's probably a lot of things that we take for granted that you guys as newcomers, you know, might still be kind of shocking or not, you might not be prepared for. You know, there'll be some things that you misunderstand. You'll interpret things as sketchy when they're not necessarily sketchy. And I can tell you from being out here as long as we have been, overall, Nha Trang is a very safe city. We don't spend a lot on our apartment, as I mentioned earlier, and even in our building we have keyed entry to the elevator. It only opens up for your floor, you know, this type of thing. So even though our building's like not one of the higher end, more expensive buildings, it's still considered the luxury market out here, because you can access the luxury market here as low as like 8 million, 7 million VND, sometimes even less if you sign a lease. So just to give you an idea, we're a little bit out of the city center. Our building doesn't have a pool, but we do have a crazy high floor and an insane view.
And we can use the pool next door at the hotel.
The hotel has a pool, and I think we have to pay, but it's not much. It's like very little. I think it's just because you get so many people that come and stay in this building as like an Airbnb deal. So now in that way, it could be less safe. So like you don't know who's coming and going when there's a lot of Airbnb going on. So, you know, I'm sure shit happens here, but I would say like on a yearly basis, like especially during the off seasons when there's not a lot of tourists in town, very peaceful, very chill, very safe. For you as a female, what was your opinion?
So far, I thought it was pretty safe here. I mean, I use the elevator, go around by myself, and it's fine.
So really, I wouldn't hesitate if you've heard, oh, people in Nha Trang aren't friendly or this or that. I've heard some of the same rumors. People are fucking really friendly here. The only reason why you might have that experience is if you came as a backpacker and you only stayed over near to the Lotus area where all the Chinese and Russian tour groups go. So the people there definitely are going to be a little bit more focused on money, and that's a little bit more likely where someone's going to try to grab your shit potentially or steal your phone.
We stayed over there last time by the night market, and it's way more hectic than over here. Do you remember?
I do. It's more hectic and it's a different buzz. It's definitely not as friendly. But you know, if you speak a little bit of Vietnamese, that breaks down pretty quickly, and they, you know, even someone who seems like they're not so friendly can become very friendly just by you even trying to speak a little Vietnamese.
Yeah, if you know any Vietnamese, use it here in Nha Trang. It will be like appreciated.
Yeah, the experience will be different. You'll have a more of a way of kind of getting a vibe from the way the people think and feel. Whereas, you know, that can get lost in these towns where, you know, there's a lot of focus on the beach and on tourism. I think, you know, Nha Trang is a beautiful beach, and I really like it so far. I like the food selection. I like some of the people I've met around jiu-jitsu up here. I just, in general, like the pace of life, and obviously the seafood's very good. I find food standards to be a bit better here than in other parts of Vietnam. Like, I found that
higher, right?
Yeah, like even like just like Vietnamese spots, like the quality seems pretty good. Infrastructure here is a lot better than the last time we were here. The sidewalks here are very nice. Everything's very orderly. It actually feels like a very walkable city, especially, you know, if it wasn't so hot. Like certain times of the day, it is very walkable.
Also over here, it's a little spread out.
Where we are is a little bit more spread out, but we live in this giant complex that has anything you would ever need at our fucking fingertips. Basically, anywhere you go in Nha Trang, though, there's going to be seafoods, convenience stores, restaurants. It's very convenient. But obviously closer to the city center is going to be all the malls and the clubs and the nightlife and a lot of more action.
More restaurants.
Way more restaurants, more convenient things you'll need during the day, the week, normal supermarkets like giant Vin Marts. But that is where you're going to feel a little bit less of a warm and friendly environment, because there is more tourism passing through these places. Whereas when you go a little bit outside of the tourist area, instantly the people become real cool, like real friendly, real cool. Everybody's real polite. It's just a nice place to be in general. So don't worry about safety. Don't worry about bringing a family here. There's fucking tons of kids here. There's kids everywhere, Russian kids especially.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird. I seen a little girl yesterday doing backflips on the beach and landing in a bridge. And I'm like, she's more healthy than I am. You know what I mean? Like, these kids are doing okay out here. Yeah, fuck, I can't do that. You know, I wish. Maybe when I was her age. I don't know. But, you know, if you're older, it's a healthy environment. There's places to exercise. It's warm. You know, you have the beach, the salt water. If you got children, I haven't seen anything that would make me think anything dangerous for kids. It seems real mellow.
Yeah.
For single people, I'm sure the dating here is fine. It's just like everywhere in Vietnam. You know, people here tend to be more focused on finding relationships than in like Thailand, where it's more of a focus on like, you know, the bar girls and that kind of an environment. That's not as much of a thing here in Vietnam. It's just not as prevalent. Like the Vietnamese kind of do a better job of keeping it behind closed doors. Like for sure it's here. If you're looking for sex tourism, like I'm certain that it's here, but they do a better job of kind of not letting it like encompass everything and really fuck the place up. And for that reason, it is safer. Like when the tour groups and everybody's here and there's all kinds of shit going on and there's a lot of people, then that area near to the Lotus and kind of just around that vicinity is where I would say you have to watch your back the most.
Yeah.
But I'd say in the south part of the city, from what I've seen along the river or up where we are here in the north side of the city, I have not felt unsafe, and I've not seen any reason to give me that I would not bring my parents, kids, a spouse, you know, anybody here. I guess common sense stuff, you know, just try to, no matter what, don't get mixed up with drugs, don't get mixed up with prostitution, avoid getting into any kind of confrontations with local people under all circumstances. Make sure your visa is good, and try not to drive like the locals. This is another thing where I've seen, unfortunately, foreigners die in Vietnam, more so in Saigon, right? More so in Saigon, but anywhere in Vietnam, I've seen foreigners who start to think they're like the locals and they want to drive like the locals, and the next thing you know, they get hit by a truck or fucking into some sort of a terrible accident. So that's the way that's unsafe.
Yeah.
Give us a little mish.
Well, so far, Nha Trang seems pretty safe overall. I don't know. I think I would give it like 9 out of 10 for safety. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it, and I also wouldn't listen to that bullshit where people say the people aren't friendly. The people are friendly. It's just different because in the Russian culture, it's kind of unusual to smile at people you don't know or come up to people you don't know randomly and say hello, whereas the Vietnamese, it's very normal for them to smile at people they don't know and come up to people they don't know. So you can see how, like, in a place that got a lot of tourists from Russia, like the big groups or the big Chinese tour groups, how those people would probably have a more of a fucking pissy attitude because they've dealt with shitty foreigners who are probably real rude to them.
Not friendly, yeah.
Or who are not meaning to be rude but don't really understand the culture, and they're just not understanding each other. Like anybody who spent time in Eastern Europe realizes it's not like a place where you just go up to somebody you don't know and give them a big smile and ask them questions. You know, people kind of mind their business more. Here it's not like that. So there's a little bit of that misunderstanding happening. But I find that like where we live, it's where mostly like Russians who seem like they live here, who are like expats. This is where they stay, it seems.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're real cool. They get along fine with the Vietnamese. They get along fine with me. I've never had any trouble with anybody.
No.
So yeah, don't be afraid to come to Nha Trang. The people are very friendly. It's very affordable. It's cheaper than Da Nang. It's really beautiful, the landscape.
Still in the south.
Right, that's another point. If you want to talk about real safety, visa safety, dealing with the southern government is better for you. It's better for you. I know everyone's attracted to Da Nang, but it's the situation down here, you want to stick with southern government if you plan to live out here for a long time. Because most people don't know this, but Vietnam's immigrations are divided based on region, like northern, central, and southern. And generally speaking, Saigon is the most receptive and warm to foreigners. And that's not just in terms of visas, but business culture, the local people. And the south of Vietnam is just a good place that likes foreigners in general, wants foreigners, wants us in the country, right? Now, in other parts of the country, the people may want us there, but maybe some of the policies of the administrations are more strict, or they function in a way that's different. This is the most open part of Vietnam. So that's a very important fact that Mish brought up. And remember, keep your visas in good standing. Don't get yourself into any trouble. Stay away from drugs. Drive sanely. Avoid taking drinks in clubs from anybody you don't know. If you're going to use your cell phone, maybe you face your back to a wall. Or not your back, sorry. You face your phone to a wall and that way it's hard to snatch your phone. If you're going to go to the beach, contract a guy with a table and keep your stuff there. Overall, these are just some of our tips for staying safe in Nha Trang, staying safe in Vietnam in general. It is a pretty safe country, but it can be really fucking unsafe depending on what you do and what you get involved with. So it's really up to you. You can come out here and have a great life and build a future, or you can come out here and completely fucking ruin your life, you know, and nobody's gonna stop you. I mean, if you wanna run around the streets just doing drugs all day, they'll keep selling it to you till you fucking die. So, you know, it's as safe as the choices you make. And superficially, it's safe for tourists, and you know, as long as you keep your visas in good standing, this is where we come in. Reach out to us on the Facebook fan page. You want to stay in Vietnam and you want to not have, you know, concerns over your visa. You want to not have concerns over working for a shitty employer. You want to work for people that are actually going to do the right thing by you. You want to source a factory and you don't want to be taken advantage of. Reach out to us. We got the contacts you need here to make sure that your transition to doing business, living, or just traveling through this part of the world can be smooth, seamless, and without any conflicts or struggles. And as far as physical safety, don't worry. Vietnam is a beautiful country, hospitable, very safe. It has a slew of problems, but where doesn't?
Brush your face and wash your teeth, son.
Hey, what's up? I'm D from Canada. Hook up with the New York Nomad if you want a smooth ride into Vietnam or any Southeast Asian countries.
Hey, my name is Aaron. Get in contact with the New York Nomads. If you want to get into Vietnam, hit them up. They'll get you in securely and professionally.
Yo, this is Uncle Hollywood. I'm telling you right now, the New York Nomad got me a job. He's legit. Hit him up. Check him out.
New York Nomad set me up in Vietnam.
Yo, my man got me a job. Come to Vietnam.
Hey, what's up, guys? You thinking about coming to Vietnam? You're not sure where to start. You've heard a lot of things online. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's not. We offer a consulting service where we help you get on your feet in Vietnam. We give you advice on negotiating contracts with employers. We help you with real estate agents, visa agents that are reliable and that you can trust. We help you get started in this amazing country and get on your feet. We help you get into different opportunities that might be more difficult for you if you were just landing in the country on your own. And we help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls and problems that you could have as a newcomer here. We provide you with reliable job recruiters, visa agents, real estate agents, and advice. If you guys are thinking about coming to Vietnam, hit us up for a consultation. We'll help you get started, help you get on your feet, and hopefully you'll love Vietnam as much as we do.